Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I just want to verify here really quickly. Okay. All right. Are you ready? All right. I can see us. I'm going to let people in. Okay. Let me remember how to turn off the waiting room. Okay. And record. All right. Welcome, everybody. Great to see you. Hello, hello. So glad that you're here. And I'm Kara Goodwin, host of the Meditation Conversation podcast. And I'm here with Michael Massey. And Michael is my friend and has been my mentor for a while now. And I'll just let you introduce yourself. How about that?
Hi, I'm a Michael, and
you're a Michael?
Yeah, I'm a Michael, and I am a cosmic engineer / janitor. I clean up. Yes, I clean up messes in the grid, and that's kind of what I do.
Okay, let me get out my notebook actually, because there are things that I want to make a note of real quick, because that might be a good one. I know that there are a couple stories that go with that we might want to touch on, but cosmic janitor.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, I'm so happy that those of you who are here with us on Zoom are here. I know we are also live streaming with the Conscious Awakening Network. I have not figured out how to monitor the other platforms. So if you are watching this live stream on the Conscious Awakening Network or on Roku or Fire and all of that types of things, I do apologize if there's a way for you to connect and I'm not seeing it. But if you are here with us on the Zoom, you can feel free to raise your hand or type anything in the chat. This really is an opportunity for us to connect, and we want to hear, what are some things going on with you? What are some things that are showing up for you? What questions do you have in the areas of consciousness, spiritual ascension, spiritual awakening? Michael has an engineering degree. And so he's really I love how he can, I just realized I'm not on Do Not Disturb, so bear with me here. So he's a great resource in terms of things like frequency and vibration and the role of light and sound and geometry, sacred geometry. You may have heard of sacred geometry and have questions about that. So we can take some time to just ask questions. And if maybe you've come and you don't have questions, you just want to hear what other people want to ask about, which is great too. But let me see if anybody has any questions. Feel free to raise your hand. Emily, I see you.
Hi.
You can unmute. All right. Hello.
So when you guys did that one of your episodes of the meditation conversation, you're talking about the energy in March coming in hot. And I'm feeling it. I am going through a lot of stuff. And when I look out at a lot of people I know, I am seeing a lot of people who seem to be going through some just having big life things happen. And I definitely am. And one of the things you said was you said something about, doing the work and, how the energy, you can use it to grow from it, or, and you've done the work, you might be able to kind of hold on to the pole while the hurricane is all around you of this energy, which I feel like I've done a lot of work. By no means am I, some enlightened being, but I feel like I meditate, I try to do these things, and yet it's been really hard to kind of keep my vibration up with what I have going on. And my question is, what do I do? Because one option is just, I keep trying to just like keep my vibration up, keep trying to like stay positive, look at the positive aspects, really meditate and all of that. But then there's another part of me is like, am I just supposed to be sitting with these like difficult feelings? Should I be sitting with the pain of, what I'm going through? So I guess, how do I use this energy right now for my greatest good? If that makes sense.
Okay.
And I hope that was a clear question. That's my question.
It's a good question. If I don't answer it to satisfaction, then chime in here. Okay.
Okay.
Last time or last month, I guess it was, when we did this webinar, and we talked about these energies, how March is shaping up, the next 30 days are shaping up to be really bright. And I guess that was only a couple of weeks ago. Gosh, time these days is a bit funny. And how we had, like last year, it was chaos, and then that was sweeping through the field and really breaking up old patterns. And so many people that I'm aware of right now are in some state of transition, and whether it's relationships, career, geographically, or otherwise. And so transition is kind of a key word here. Now, what is it we're kind of transitioning to? Now, in my mind's eye, what I see is that it's like there's like a train track that was going along a certain way, and you know how you have the I think I'm supposed to be an engineer, I should make, but the switch to a different track where it goes, okay. And
got it. I'm thinking about Thomas the Train with you.
Okay, all right. And so what I'm seeing is people are making this switch over to this other track. And so what kind of happens it's a transition of the heart. It's really moving up from that survival base in the lower chakras up into this the heart base. And the kind of the key in this transition is to let go of attachments. Okay. Now, this is a really frightening thing, because this is how we've related to people, to each other for eons. And when we get close to somebody, we attach to them. And then we develop a dependency. And what happens is that person or that attachment, it both acts as a limiter, meaning we can only our future can only be as bright as we are able to go with that attachment.
Okay.
Okay. And then, but also the reverse can be true as well, in that with that attachment, we might have been able to go places that we couldn't necessarily have on our own. So these attachments kind of served a purpose once upon a time. Now, okay. But what happens is we're transitioning into this new mode of being able to fly. And it's when it's like our heart gets wings, literally, and we're able to navigate in a new way. Instead of having attachments at this next stage, what we have instead is connection.
Okay.
And so what happens when if we're dissolving attachment, there's an enormous amount of fear associated with letting go of that. because that's how we found our stability in the past.
Okay.
Okay. And so what it threatens our sense of security, because we've never been able to stay afloat without these. That's no longer the case. And so one of the things in terms of the work to do, and whether you're using your just Reiki on yourself, and it doesn't matter if you've had an activation or not, you can get one right now. And is just to place your hands over your solar plexus, your sacral and root, and do this in your meditations, just focusing on clearing and dissolving attachments. And fears may come up, but you just let them pass through.
Okay.
And you're not going to be losing any stability. And what happens is we evolve into this more of a soul base. So as we switch this kind of track up, what's kind of happening is that in a sense, our field is opening up for more of the soul that we truly are to inhabit the vessel. And as such, you see, we may have formed attachments in the past that was necessary for survival, but they're no longer serving the purpose by which the soul is now coming into body for. Okay, just like a training wheels, they made sense once upon a time, but eventually they gotta go if you're gonna do any serious biking. So it's a very similar process. Anyways, that's what came to mind as you were asking the question, and if it clarified things enough for you, or if you have a follow-on question, please let me know, Emily.
I of course now I have like 5 questions, but I'm going to let other people ask questions. So, but thank you. That was really helpful.
Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you, Emily and Michael. One thing that it made me think of, I want to try to share my screen. And because I was just, let's see, can you see my desktop here?
Yes.
Yep.
Is this in the way? Is there something in the way? Or can you just see it? I've got a toolbar here.
I see. Did you know?
Okay. So I was just working on this, and this, Michael, you were the inspiration because you were the first one to kind of bring this to my attention. But so I was just creating this for social media down the line. But it's, Emily, you were talking about how so many people in your world are just having like a lot of transformation, and it's really difficult. And so this is the transformation of the caterpillar into the butterfly. And let me see how, so hang on a second here, because I don't know how to get from one to another. So once it's in that chrysalis, the caterpillar actually digests itself and it dissolves all its tissue, which I always thought that it just kind of like the caterpillar stayed kind of like
digests itself. Wow.
Well, I always thought it was kind of like the caterpillar was the middle of the butterfly and then the wings come out, but it actually just completely breaks down in the chrysalis. And then there's this time where there's not a caterpillar or a butterfly. It's like this soup. It's like a gooey soup where it's just completely broken down and it's unrecognizable. And then once all of the tissues are disintegrated, then it uses that goo to fuel this rapid cell division that's required to form all of the features of the butterfly. And so the point being that that central to the process of the transformation is the complete disintegration of what the caterpillar is. That complete surrender, it just totally goes away in order to become the butterfly it was always destined to be. So I see a lot of people in this, right now, where it's just like, what is happening? Where are we? Who am I? And, like we were just talking about, the relationships breaking down, careers, people just not, health. There's a lot of physical health issues as well, a lot of mental health issues. And so if you find yourself, anybody who's listening who finds themselves in this place right now, there might be this like, oh, I want to get back to where I was,
Yeah.
but rather than like trying to clutch on, like Michael was saying with those attachments, but rather than trying to get back to where you were, it's kind of like, what are you becoming? Where are you going? What transformation is happening? And there is that breakdown that can be really necessary. Personally for me, the year 2016 was when my world became really unrecognizable and just things really started falling apart. And I remember, like I wanted that familiarity. I wanted things to go back to where they were. And that was a huge catalyst to, a completely different version of life for me. But I had to go through the birth canal, so to speak, to get to the next phase. So I just wanted to share that because I literally was just working on that like right before I logged on to this Zoom. So
we're in the goo, or I'm in the goo.
Yeah.
I am goo.
Feels very much that way. And this is like, it is, what can the caterpillar do in order to join the efforts in the becoming of a butterfly, right? There's nothing really for it to do except for to trust the process and surrender to it. That's very much true. And what's really helpful here is that connection, however you may have it, to a higher power. And that's you just think of the super intelligence that's aware of both that which you were, that which you are, and that which you are to become.
Okay.
Right? That would be that presence, that entity, that energy, that intelligence would be the one to trust. Because it's right? It's hard to trust anything else. In fact, it's hard to trust anything else at all. And that's really the point of the disintegration, is to bring you into a trust alignment with that. And then everything can collapse, and then it gets rebuilt. And everything that's around us might still be here, but it's us that have changed. So it doesn't mean, and this is one of the things that people feel, back to the other, the point about the attachment versus connection, is that the fear that comes up if I'm going to break an attachment to a mother, a spouse, something, even a child, the fear is that you're in breaking that attachment, you're going to lose that person.
Yeah.
But it's not the case. You're not losing anyone. Okay. You're just removing the tether that ties you together in favor of this Wi-Fi connection that keeps you always connected.
Okay.
But free to move.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just with the analog that we have here of like the butterfly, but the wings, of what this higher timeline, whatever you want to call it, this new track, is that, you know, two birds chained together and neither can fly.
Mm-hmm.
So you remove the chains, but it doesn't mean that these two birds can't still be even mates. but they're flying together.
Mm-hmm.
And free to go. Now they can come back to roost together or not, but that's how the you know, the kind of the metaphor or the analog works.
And is that true for everybody right now? This letting go of attachments? I mean, is that just
Pretty
like the general theme?
It's a general theme, whatever they might be, and it can be, you know, attachments to, you know, with people they can be the most profound, but attachment, we can get it. We're humans. We get attached to everything. You know, yeah, we certainly get attached to our routines. We get attached to a version of reality that we think is true, and we get attached to certain futures. And that's the big one, and that's the toughie, really, that to let go of, because we can't help ourselves. But along the way, what we're doing is we keep imagining, and we keep trying to imagine a beautiful way to die, basically an end of life scenario that's pleasant, right?
Yeah.
So like, people don't spend their whole lifetime dreaming about how, you know, what's the most miserable way I could, you know, spend the last decade of my life here. And so we tend to make decisions a lot based on how something in the present, how we think it's going to affect that future.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I definitely feel that way right now.
Yeah. So now imagine going, oh, what courage it takes to go, I'm going to let go of that future. And knowing that if I let go of that future, it doesn't mean I don't have a future, but I can let go of that and go, wow. And now let's load in, what does that higher power, that one that can see and knows past, present, and future, and understands this process and is the governor of this process, then allow that future to repopulate with something better. And it's okay to hold out, and you go, I'm just going to create a waiting room there, and it's waiting for the brighter future to load in. I'm not going to settle for a terrible future. I'm gonna hold out for the best and brightest.
Yeah, and that's where like the fear. I mean, it's just, I feel like there's a lot of fear. I don't want to screw up. So.
Yeah. Well,
I just need to let go.
Let go and do whatever you got to do to not listen to the fear. And especially if the fear's coming into our own self monologue, and because it seems to be our own voice in the head, we think it's actually real. But it's just a thought. And so when you have doubts about the future, turn doubt on its own tail and doubt the doubt.
Okay. I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put that as my wallpaper.
Yeah.
I like that. Doubt the doubt. I love that.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you both. Let's see, does anybody else, you can just unmute yourself, or you can put something in the chat if you want to. I know that there is, oh, Lucia?
Oh, no, but go ahead. I
No,
just
no.
muted myself.
Yes,
Hi.
please. Hi, Lucia. Go
Hi.
ahead. I'm so glad to see you.
Glad to see you too. I decided to join last minute.
Awesome.
Yes, and hi everyone. Hi Michael. Hi Emily. Those are the only people I can see, but but if it's okay with you guys, right before joining the session, I just went within, did a little meditation, and somehow I just developed these practice along the way. It just happened one day where I just knew that in general, when I needed more rooting, more grounding, one day I just happened to imagine just this energy going all the way down, all the way to inner earth. And now I found a group of beings that help me root from all the way inside. And so normally when I go, there's a female energy, a male energy. Normally it's 1, 2, 3. And my intention was knowing that I was joining you guys tonight, that, you know, the best would come out of this session. And when I went, immediately there was a huge group, guys, and I got so emotional because there are so many beings just supporting us. So everyone that joined here, and it's the most I've ever seen in my vision.
Wow.
And then I said, okay, help me just to pick from the Oracle. I don't know if you can see, but this one, it says Gateway of Light Activation. And of course it's long, so I'm not gonna make these long, but I'll share the one that I got for the group, if that's okay with you guys.
Yes, please. I love it.
Yes, the card was the Emerald Tablet Activation, which looks like this.
Oh.
And just a small, what I thought was probably meaningful for the session. It says, when this Emerald Tablet Activation card appears, you're being called to remember the gifts you are carrying from previous lifetimes. Even if you don't always understand how to express them, there's a part of you that knows you hold great power within. So if this is meaningful to someone, I'm sure it will be somehow. I wanted to share that.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Lucia. That's wonderful. So when you talk about the beings and you're being rooted down into the earth, do you see them as beings within the earth?
Yes, almost human form, you know, not anything in particular, just full of light. And I can just normally just tell if they're female, male. Sometimes some energies just feel very neutral, but yes, normally I have the beings around me here, you know, and then the ones that I've just continue to access whenever I need rooting, which is most of the time. Even if I'm meditating, I want both, you know. Yeah. But they sort of, that's how it has worked for me just as of lately. They just sort of support me into being rooted and at the same time find that light, you know. So yes.
Thank you. As you're talking about that, I could feel this, like almost like an antenna, like bing, 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 bing at the top of my head right here.
Oh, good. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that, Lucia, and resonate with it as well. The visual that comes to mind that I use this kind of in my when I'm doing my reading, okay? So one of the visuals I have is just becoming this like giant eagle and just clutching, and I'm picking up the earth and flying with it. And it's this rooting in to become one with the earth, and then spread the wings and make it big, and then fly from there. And it's not like sprout wings and fly off this planet. No, that's not what's happening right here. It's not really what we're talking about. It's not about leaving or escaping. It's this transformation of this becoming, and to become one with the planet, and then raise our vibration too. We affect everything on it.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not just our own sphere.
Yes, that's beautiful. Yes, I think, as we know, we're all the same energy, and to feel the support is great. That's how I feel, that the ones below are there for support, the ones above as well. And that's what it said, as above, so below, this card as well.
Oh, I love that.
Nice.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Lucia. That's
Thank-
great. And that just made me think too, because Emily's joining from California, Lucia is in Texas. I'm curious if it's easy for people to write in the chat. It is really interesting when we do think about the energetics and all of us being energy beings and us being here together as a group. For those of us who are joining live, if you feel inclined, feel free to put in the chat where you're from. Michael and I are in Indiana. And so I'll leave that to you guys if you want to do that. We had a question from somebody who can't be here today, from Lori. It's her birthday. And I will just quickly ask this, Michael. She says she'd like to hear you speak more about this 2 years thing that keeps coming up in everything I listen to. It came up again in a session today. Just curious if you get this 2-year time frame as well, and what is the best way in meditation to tap into this energetic grid better.
Okay. All right. So we have a 2-year kind of window right now with 2023 and 2024 that takes us through the completion of this particular solar cycle that we're on. So there certainly is this like what it was a couple weeks ago, I talked about March being just really bright. And that's sort of what I would say comparatively to maybe the months that precede it. So it's relative. And in a sense, that's kind of what 2024 looks like in comparison to the years that come up to it. So we're into this particular 2-year cycle, 2023 and 2024. Is bound to be spectacular in terms of the amount of progress that we're going to be making on this transition that we're going through. So now in terms of 2-year periods, that's frequently also, those have shown up along the way of that when we're going through, this has happened with me before. So when we're going through a kind of a personal mission assignment that involves making some kind of a change, we're given a 2-year windows to actually do those.
So from a personal development or personal soul mission, usually that's a 2-year cycle.
It's 2-year cycle.
Oh, interesting.
To make that change, and that's a directive that's coming from from the soul level. So Now,
That's interesting. I wonder why that is. Like when you think about it from a cosmic perspective and like the rotation around the sun, or if that's just like a decent chunk of time to be able to accomplish something. Like you've got 2 years, that should be good enough.
Good enough. Really, you could do it in one, but we're,
give you a buffer.
Give you a spare. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael.
And let's see, what was the last part of her question there? How to
the best way in meditation to tap into this energetic grid better.
Get yourself an eye mask. The blocking out even of the subtle ambient light that filters through, it just enhances the vision. So make sure you get yourself one of those eye masks, and make sure it has the little flap that covers the nose, because that really blocks out the light. And then consider audio music tracks. There's plenty to listen to. Choose that which makes you that you can feel. And let's see here. So eye mask music. What else do you got? What do you think, Kara?
I mean, the fact that she's utilizing meditation in the first place is huge, because that can be, a stepping stone for somebody who is wanting to navigate these times that they may not have gotten to yet. So, breath work has been really key for me in my meditation. Things like the Wim Hof is really powerful. What's another one that I've been doing? Oh, there's one that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about that's a pineal stimulator. That one is another one that I think is really great. So those 2 pieces of breath work to add into meditation can really help, specifically with the pineal gland, and helping with the nervous system. And I really liked what Lucia was talking about, that grounding, making sure that we're grounding into the earth and tapping into the energy of the earth. As the earth goes into its changes, the earth being a sentient being is having its own frequency shift. So as we do that connection and that grounding and that, attuning ourselves to, our organic kind of being, that is frequency, that I find is also a really powerful way to kind of get hooked in there and utilize those frequencies. So those are some things that come to mind on my side.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, great.
I might just to that point is yes, be conscious and aware of the 4 elements in your life. Period. And so don't just step into the shower and step out in terms of routine without, the proverbial smelling the roses. Make sure you feel the water.
So that would be the elements of hydrogen and oxygen. Which 4 elements in particular should we be? Right.
So feel the water. When you step outside, most people just they disregard or filter out the sensation of the air across their skin. but it's really exquisite. Pay attention to that. Feel the breeze, and all these things actually work miracles like and magic like you wouldn't believe. When you're lighting a fire, look at it, regard it, and then feel it. Feel the warmth of it. Put your hand out to a flame, even if it's a candle or whatever, but make a connection with it. So, and then of course, then the one we were just talking about, which of course is the earth. And if you're already adept and you can merge yourself with the center of the earth, then yes, do that. Absolutely.
And alternatively, you can, or in addition, go out barefoot on the earth and do some grounding, hug a tree, put both your hands on a tree to complete that circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you're not outside because it's winter time, but just getting out and getting on bare feet and just feel the floor, carpet or not, feel your feet touching the earth. It's all just, it's one big mass or matter. So yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. And happy birthday to Lori, who asked that question. That's why she's not here. She has a Pi Day birthday.
Okay. That's a good day. Be born on Pi Day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I know that Vince had his hand up. Would you like to ask a question, Vince? Do you want to come on?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi. Well, if I remember correctly, I think I was reading one of your emails a couple of weeks ago, and I read Michael's bio. And I think it said that Michael is an engineer and who went on to study shamanism. And it kind of drew my interest because I'm an engineer myself, and I don't know anything about energy until about a year ago. I started looking into the energy concept, in search to try to take care of some medical issues. So I work with a number of energy healers within the past year, and at the same time, exploring and learning more about how energy works and things. And I had two energy healers told me that, or asked me that, do I know that I'm a healer? And I said, no. And they both told me that I'm a shaman. So I don't know what shamanism is. So I was just wondering if Michael could elaborate on what shamanism is and what does it take to, if you want to go that path to become a shaman and things like that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Vance. That's a really great question. Okay, so the word shaman simply means it's a Sanskrit word that means one who knows. And so this is typically ascribed to those individuals within the greater society who have some ability to know the unknowable. And now from kind of a genetic standpoint, what happens is there's certain genes, certain sequences of DNA that are present within the shaman that allows them to operate at theta band in their brain waves without falling asleep. That's where everybody else is dead asleep, is at theta. And if you just amplify theta in a room, everybody will be like, and amplify theta around a shaman, and they like come to life. And they're not, or in terms of being awake. And so what happens is the dream world and the real world are very meshed together for a shaman. And then, you know, it's an ability that can be, that generally speaking, people are just born with or not, although there's some that may be called in, because we've lost so many shamans to over medication in their youth, to addictions, to drug, alcohol, suicide. So many shamans. So there's also a number of people that have been called in to become shamans to make up for all the ones that have lost. And so, in which case then they may go through a transition process, probably a 2-year period, where they get activated of that DNA that to wake up and bring these abilities online because it's needed.
Mm.
Does that help answer your question there?
Yeah. Would you happen to know that there's a website that I could go to and learn more about it?
Yeah, well, you should be circulating an email. I think my emails or contact info is on there, and yeah, we'll see. I'll see what I might come up with for a resource for you. One place I would start for sure though is on YouTube.
Okay.
Is look for the Spirit Science series, and it's like animated. It's a little animated show, and they have, I don't know, 30 or so episodes of it. You don't necessarily have to watch them all, but I might totally do that. And
Okay.
so you watch, check out Spirit Science, and then believe it or not, the other one I would go through is the children's show that you can get, I think, on Netflix, which is the kids show. It's called Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
And if you enjoy, you know, anime or, you know, anything like that, it's worth it, because it takes you through the whole like journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing that some of the best material that's out there is almost like it's unintentional material. In other words, it might come out of a Hollywood creative people maybe were actually channeling and making material that came out there. And there's actually more of that out there than there is any like, oh, how to be a shaman book, you know, that knocks it out of the park. But maybe you can write one.
Shaman for dummies. Shamanism for dummies.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay, and then just follow up with Kara or myself, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your service, Vince.
Thank you.
I love that. I mean, I love the reflection of Michael's journey. You know, it's so similar with this engineering, you know, kind of background, and then that sort of very natural gifts that are lying latent under the surface, you know. That's awesome. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, we do have a question in the chat that I'd like to ask. So somebody's asking, for years, I have used medical marijuana for pain relief and help with sleep. I take it at night and was able to come off my prescription meds. Could this be blocking my connection? I do feel guided. However, I'm not certain if that's what it is, or is my ego making it all up?
Yeah. I think Abraham Hicks got asked this question once or something like that. And Abraham replied, well, we teach the practice of meditation. Some people say marijuana is more fun. Okay. regardless of whether one of the things that marijuana does, it opens up doorways into the subconscious, and ultimately that's what you're doing with meditation as well. Now, the strength of doing it just with meditation is that, or the more that you can do it free of any substances, then the more solid those doorways, those gateways, as you open those up into various different layers of your consciousness, they can stay open. But marijuana opens those doorways too. What will tend to happen is that you'll move a lot of the stuff that you would be doing in your dream time gets moved into your tripping time, so to speak, if you're awake. So you may not dream as heavily when you're using marijuana. It tends to be, I say may, but it's almost assured. So it's one of those things that you can play around with it, and everybody's got to figure out their own biochemical, what things work for them, what doesn't, in terms of food, diet, substances, and what they use as medicine.
Well, and to clarify the question, it talks about blocking the connection. So it sounds like there's maybe feeling like there's some interference there.
Yeah, does it block the connection? No, but the thought that it does.
Mm.
And
Right.
so, okay, and it's gonna shift, as I was gonna say, it'll shift some of your dreamscapes, into your conscious experiences. But other than that, no, it doesn't block you. No. There is a very far upper limit that you can't go beyond with marijuana in your system, but it's way out. It's way up there. Way up there.
Okay.
And when that kind of alignment happens, it's I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully that addresses that question. If there are any follow-up questions, feel free to put that in the chat. Does anybody have anything else they want to cover?
I'm
ahead.
curious, and if you feel comfortable answering, and if not, that's okay. I'm just curious as to what specifically do you guys think involves this ascension process, or not what involves, but where is it leading us to, besides these changes in consciousness and frequency? Are we physically going somewhere? I mean, I'm sure we all ask these questions, right? And
That's a great
not sure
one.
that we have an answer, but I'm just curious to what you guys think.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going?
Right. Yes, we're on a journey to arrive. It's this one thing, okay? One way to answer this, Lucia would say, hey, where are we going? Anywhere you want.
Okay.
But before you can go anywhere that you want, you first have to come all together at point A before you can go to B. Because it can't be just part of you runs off to B and leaves all the rest behind. Mm-hmm. So it's first coming all here and now, and then that's the door, the gateway where it allows us to go anywhere. And the funny thing about it is that when the moment that one fully arrives here and now is what opens to the eyes of how beautiful this place really is At least for me, I was like, oh, I think I'll stick around. Actually, it's not too bad.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's
Well,
kind of
and
the,
yeah.
I have a curiosity. I'm like, wow, what could life here on Earth truly become
Mm-hmm.
when we all really do live from the baseline of here?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still around because I want to see what that looks like.
I know if I can chime in here, and this is something that Kat it'll be reminiscent with our conversation from yesterday, but for Kathy, who is online here, but I believe that one of the elements is this uptick in our senses and our ability to perceive. So, where we have these, our eyes work differently, our hearing works differently. I mean, similar to how it is, but for me, I've been experiencing it like I'm like listening, like I can feel that the energy from where I'm listening is higher. It's like from a higher place within my head. And there are changes happening within my eyesight where it seems that I am focusing. There are times where I'm able to change how I'm focusing, and I can feel that I'm looking from a different place within my brain, which may sound very, very bizarre, or maybe you guys know what I'm talking about or have had experiences, but it's not something that's on all the time. But when it is on, I can hear things that I can't normally hear. I see things that I don't normally see. And so that is part of what I believe is coming as well. It's like we're still here. It's not necessarily like we have left and gone somewhere, but our experience is new. It's different. We have more that we can perceive. We have more that we can understand. There's more that more information. We're getting more information. We have the ability to process more information, and from a more holistic understanding, meaning more whole, like more complete understanding, rather than, Michael, if you listen to the podcast, he's been talking for a while about Trinity consciousness, where we're no longer in that duality of one thing or another, right or wrong, black or white. And it's more that we have this ability to perceive from many different viewpoints all at once, and we have a more complete picture of what's going on, and that dissolves that perception of duality. So that, I think, is what is some of the quicker, the things that we'll notice quicker in our lifetimes, is my belief.
Yeah. And can I'd like to add something here too, because it's a fun question. Where are we going? I love this question. Okay. So if you imagine the Earth as being a sphere, now imagine also that we were to say to stretch space or to add space into it. So we just made it say 10% bigger. Or if you want to go, we just doubled it in size. But let's say it's just 10%. The number of molecules stayed the same. We just changed space. We didn't change the amount of matter or mass. We're all bigger now, but so is the ruler by which we measure ourselves. So if you're 6 feet tall before, you're still 6 feet tall by your measurement afterwards. So if everything just got bigger in size, could you actually tell the difference? and not probably without some advanced instrumentation or something. So now if you imagine those superimposed upon each other, you go, okay, we have two worlds that are slightly different size superimposed upon each other. And one of them, they're actually almost identical to each other, except for one of them is, you know, missing the mosquitoes. Literal and also metaphorical. And so where are we going? We're going into a new version of Earth that has everything that we have here, but it's minus the mosquitoes. And everything that goes along with it. So it's you know, and the old Earth that we've known, you know, the forces of fear are dominant. You know, it's not that love isn't there, but I mean, get real. It's like, man, we get, you know, we all know we've been feeling good, and then all of a sudden we get hit with some kind of negative, you know, arrow or dart from someone, you know, particularly from a loved one or something like that. It's just like, oh man, I'm like, why did that little negative thing have so much power over me? Well, imagine what if we could reverse those sides. So on like the new Earth, it's the other way around. And so just the one, you know, we can actually stay in this stable field without getting, you know, knocked out of our game. And that itself would be huge. And what we're seeing right now, it's because we're in this transition period, and this is really hard to describe, except to say it's the most mind-boggling, like architecture puts Disneyland to shame, of how you have these two grids and they're interlaced with each other, such that the door is open now for us to as individuals to click into the new Earth grid and begin living. And what happens is we'll be running our track, running on a new grid experience, simultaneously interacting with other people who are running on an old Earth experience, and somehow we're crisscross, but we're not hitting each other, but we're totally interacting side by side. And it's really wild, but it starts to get pronounced where you're looking and going, wow, this person just lives a whole different way of life. And that's still allowed to perpetuate during this transition period. And how long that overall transition period, you know, this whole thing lasts for humanity, this is a multi-generational process.
And ultimately the destiny is that we all operate on that new grid.
Yeah. And, you know, humanity might disappear from the old one entirely, and it belongs to the squirrels.
Or the flies. I mean, the mosquitoes.
Or the mosquito world. There you go. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Over my dead body will the mosquitoes take over.
Well, that's the old one. You'll be on the new one.
Yeah.
So, Michael, I'm really curious about, or I feel like it would be great to explore a little bit about like frequency, sound, light, like how this all plays in. Vince, when he was talking about his work with healers and his sort of interest in shamanism, he was talking about, you know, he's starting to learn about energy. And I know that it's, you know, sound, frequency, geometry, all of this. Here we are on Pi Day 314, 3.14, which, Emily, that is why we're meeting today. I had put on Instagram a reel where I was like, can anybody guess why we're meeting on Tuesday, March 14th? And Emily had some great guesses, but the reason is it's Pi Day. And
nice.
And so can you just give us a little bit of a little bit of an overview about the role of energy and frequency, and how sound and light and geometry and whatever, wherever that takes you. But can you give us a little crash course?
Okay. Wow. It is Pi Day. We should have been talking about geometry the whole time.
Right.
What were we thinking? Okay. And maybe this is actually, I don't know if people would be interested in actually a follow-up, do a webinar focusing and do an emphasis or focusing on geometry. I'll be open for that. And well, one of the things I find fascinating, I mean, in terms of the way the whole thing is structured or architected, is no matter how complex everything we look around us and all the variety of shapes and sizes of things and the contrast and the patterns and all of it, is that when we look at it in the grid, all of it comes from a single circle, and then you have overlapping circles, and then circles of different sizes and different layers, and then that creates all the intersection patterns that gives rise to this entire field of matter that we see before us. And so, and at the end of the day, it looks a whole lot like, just that little design there that's over your shoulder, Kara.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
My little mandala thing.
Yep.
Yes.
And all sums down into just one circle, just like that.
Mm.
That's geometry in a nutshell. Is that what you asked for?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's part of frequency, right? And energy is the geometry piece.
Yeah. And, I've done some work with, some people might be aware or not, but I've worked with iPyramids there in Sedona and built some devices with them. And we've got really into the kind of the mysteries and magic of pyramids. And there's a lot of more and more material is all coming up on History Channel and Netflix now about these.
Oh, well, speaking of which, the interview with Ed, if anybody watches that on Gaia, season 3, Michael's in one of the episodes. I can't remember which one, but it's with, I don't remember the number, but with Gail and Lyrica, where you do talk about, like, you're interviewed about the pyramid technology. So if anybody has Gaia, check that out. I'll put that in the chat. Interview with Ed.
Yeah.
Sorry, just you speaking about those Netflix and so forth, that made me think of that.
Yes. And so the evidence there that, at least one of the theories is growing in popularity, which has a fair bit of merit behind it, is that where we currently are, maybe it's not the first time that we've been here as a species. So it's that the full, if you look at the real history of humanity, there's been civilizations that have risen to an ascension point before, and they've completed their transitions and they're on a new Earth version grid, or something went horribly wrong and they collapsed. And so we're building it back up, and it's sort of like I think of it in terms of like electrical systems where you have a charge building up on a capacitor, and which a capacitor is kind of like a battery, but it's not. But it stores electrical charge, and as that charge and just builds up, and then it'll periodically arc or fire across another plate. And so that the pyramids and pyramid technology is really oriented or designed about tapping these etheric energies, and that when they're done properly, they provide a gateway, if you will, or it just like gravity actually flows into our universe, like from another dimension. There's other energy that can flow into our universe from another dimension, and the pyramids are part of that.
That's fascinating. Like interdimensional portals.
Yeah, it's not that they're necessarily generating energy such that they're actually opening a door for energy to come in from another dimension. And so, yeah, but we're just now getting to the place where we can begin to build these kinds of things. And then, and then the sky's the limit for there. And this would be what you might call new earth tech. It's going to be everywhere.
Right. And then you've built one. You've built a big one that is in use in Sedona in private use with Gail and Lyrica. So Lyrica is a nonverbal person with autism who, and she and her mom use it to kind of telepathically communicate and many other things. And then you have a small one too, like a smaller one that can fit on a tabletop. We're going to have that at the retreat in May. So we'll be utilizing that as well, which will have fun with that technology.
We got a special plan for it this time. Yep.
Yes,
we do.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, let's just say that it involves the crystal skull too. And if you want to know more, come get your slot and come join us on the retreat. It looks to be an amazing time together. Yeah,
we're going to have the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull, which is also featured a lot on Interview with Ed, if people are interested in that show or know of that show. But and we will actually have that, and its keeper, Bill Homan, will be there at the retreat too. So we're going to be combining that with that pyramid technology, which is going to be fascinating. So wonderful. Well, I think it's a very big topic to try to get into frequency and how it all works. But I appreciate that crash course there.
Sure.
Does anybody have any other, were you about to say something, Michael?
No, I was just checking the chat log here.
Kathy is saying, will this recording be made available to us? I want to watch it again. Yes, I will get this. I will let everybody know once this is ready. We'll definitely share the recording. Does anybody have anything else? I know that time's getting on here, so we can start to wrap up, but if you have any further questions, we can maybe take one more before we sign off. Okay. Sorry, I blocked my own view. Okay, well, I think then everybody's satiated, maybe overflowing. I feel overflowing. So thank you all so much for being here. It's been so much fun. I have loved this. So we'll do this again very soon.
Yes.
So thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Michael.
You betcha.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Meeting with you guys.
Thank you. So happy to see everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. All right. See you later.